Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's music update. We will be having a look at lots of different kinds of data and what could be number one on the official chart this week. And we will be going over to the personal chart because that's kind of what we're here for. But we will have a little look at seeing what could be number one on the official chart this week and what could possibly be getting there and what could possibly be there from beyond as well. So you'll have a little look at that. We've got the point totals to reveal on the personal chart as well. So yeah, we will have a little look at that later on. But first of all, I want to show you what was number one last week. For 5 weeks in a row now, Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license has been number one. Will that ever get off the top? Please. It's been a while now, but these days, I mean, a 5 week number one's kind of typical. I mean, a 1 week number one's very rare now, actually. But if you go back to 2012, for example, you can see that pretty much all the time there was 1 week number ones. It was actually more rare for there to be 5 weeks. So it's kind of flipped a little bit. 2014 was that very unusual year with 1 week number ones. Will we ever see that again? Probably not with streaming, but yeah. So yeah, this is what will be competing. We will be seeing if this will stay next week and seeing if anything else could go to the number one spot next week. So yeah, we're going to have a look at the chart from last week. So last week we had driver's license at number one, as we just saw, but we have got a few down here. Wellerman, we've got Kid Lowry, Without You. Well, that kind of, if you have a look at that chart history, that's a very, very unlucky chart history. Number two, just hitting number two. So many artists these days just hit number two, but yeah. As well as Wellerman, that's been number two for 2 weeks now. But yeah. We had a new entry from Digga D, but Bring It Back. The business did climb a little bit, which is good, because it's a good song in my opinion. Goosebumps, another great song, climbed into the top 10 for the first time. Latest Trends, absolute rubbish in my opinion, was new, and also with Cardi B Up, absolute rubbish in my opinion. Friday did actually climb a bit, and Save Your Tears, which was actually number one on the personal chart for 2 weeks, had climbed 16 places because of the Super Bowl performance, I think. Heat Waves also climbed a little bit. Your Love also climbed into the top 40 for the first time. That's Topic's highest charting single since Breaking Me last year, I believe. Ava Max climbed into the top 40 again. I was sort of thinking, will she ever get there again? That's like sort of like what I had in my mind. Will she ever get there again? But I'm so glad she did, because she was looking like on Spotify she wasn't entering the top 200 either, which is what I'm kind of hoping for. So I was really glad when she entered the top 40 for the first time. Duncan Lawrence with Arcade. That was from Eurovision last year. That entered the top 40 as well. And a lot of few ones down under, like Foo Fighters and Mass Wolf as well. All that stuff. So yeah, we're going to have a look at what's changed this week. We're going to have a look at what's changed from this chart and what could change in the update this week. So from yesterday's update, we have a new entry at number one. It's not a good new entry in my opinion, but it's a new entry. It's not very often we get new entries right at the top these days. It's sort of like a once in a 3 or a 4 year thing, to be honest, these days. Back in like 2012, it was more like a once in a 26th year thing. But yeah, this is it's not a particularly great song, to be honest. I'm not that I know people probably do like it, but I really don't. We have also an absolutely classic song entering in at number 5 this week. Sort of like it looks like it might drop a little bit, but I think it might just stay in the top 10, hopefully. We have Love Story Taylor's version. I have no idea. If you look down at number 98 as well, you can see that Love Story, the original, was in there. But there's so many songs that have sort of, in the chart, sort of like combined into just one, so you can combine them. I reckon if that got combined, it'd probably be top 2, probably. Maybe even competing for that number 1. Yeah, but I don't know why they haven't done it this time round. They'll probably wait like 2 weeks and then realise, oh, right, we should probably do that. Alright, Friday could enter into the top 10 for the first time on Friday as well. The business climbs a little bit. The Kid Lowry, Leroy, or however you say it, drops a little bit. topic will climb into the top 20 possibly for the first time. Oh yeah, and we've got Dua Lipa's new Moonlight Edition album, which could add one or maybe two in the future from that album into the top 40. Whether this climbs or not or drops away, usually with Dua Lipa songs though they sort of climb after a few weeks. This looking like it will enter into the top 40 as well. UK Hun, King Dolls, Essentially C, Commitment Issues, Big by Rita Ora. Now that's sort of like teetering on sort of like will it enter, will it not? Because it's sort of like not there on streaming, but this update was sort of more towards downloads because there's 3 days of downloads, 2 days of streaming, I believe. I've got another one, Heedy 1 and Burna Boy Siberia, Slow Time, Skepta cancelled. Now I doubt this will make the top 40, but I'm glad it's sort of getting at least some recognition. Pink and Will of Sage Heart with Cover Me in Sunshine is set to do pretty well on the personal chart this week. So yeah, why the hell is this back? Honestly, why the hell is this back? Jeez. Yeah, that was sort of predicted to be a bit lower in the update last week, so I'd still expect that to be Duncan Lawrence Arcade to be in the top 40 this week as well. Little Bit of Love, absolutely so happy that could be in the top 40 this week as well. I think it probably will just miss out on it a little bit, but I know it is doing quite well on Apple Music, but it's doing terribly on Spotify at the minute. Yeah, just a few other ones, new and entering, more Slow Tie. So yeah, it's looking like Calling My Phone by Lil TJ is going to be number 1 this week. But we will have a little look at streaming in a minute and see if that is going to impact it a little bit as well. We'll see how it's sort of trended over the week from Friday as well. We'll go through each day to see if it sort of might fall down a little bit. But yeah, we'll do that in a sec. So let's start that now then. Spotify charts. We have Calling My Phone. This is from Friday's data, so Friday's data only, so this is the first day of data. We can see that Calling My Phone and Love Story have sort of entered quite high up. So we see that Love Story and Call My Phone entered quite high up. Quite a lead for the streams on Lil TJ's. That's over 200k lead with Taylor. Only like slumping about 30k to Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License from last week. Remember that will go on ACR this week as ACR in a few weeks as well, so possibly. So there is room for these two songs if they don't make it to climb. If we move on to that's the day before. If we move on to Saturday's data, we can see that Calling My Phone stays there. But it sort of like slumps from that 200k lead down to that 50k lead. But then Kid Laroi sort of like regains. Don't Play sort of regains. And it goes back up, and The Business sort of goes back up as well. A Love Story sort of slips a little bit though, interestingly enough. Sort of slips from, what was it? Slips from 453 to 221. That's like half, innit? So that's not good. Let's be honest. So yeah, Call My Phone still number 1, which means it's still probably about 20% ahead, probably, I guess, at this stage. Let's go to the 14th. We can see that Call My Phone still got that little bit of lead. This is Sunday's data. This is probably like the least streamed day of the week. Calling My Phone has got 450,000 streams, but Olivia Rodrigo sort of clawing back a little bit, and the Kid Laroi obviously staying around the same. Don't Play staying around the same. Blinding Lights sort of regaining us a little bit as well, back into the top 5 for like the 60th time in the last 2 years. And Love Story sort of slips again, so it does sort of indicate. And now this day sort of puts us, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday's data, leads us to this update. So that basically means that Calling My Phone is number 1 because it was number 1 on Spotify all week, but there is other factors to it. But Spotify is a main factor. Probably about 40%, I guess. I don't really know exactly. But yeah, Apple Music and Spotify is kind of similar. So yeah. And you can see how like Taylor Swift sort of entered at 3, sort of dropped to 8, and then dropped to 5, and then dropped to 8. It sort of like levels out to 5. So yeah, sort of worked out well. So now this is today's date, from Monday's data, so up until basically midnight yesterday, of Monday's data basically means that Call My Phone still stays there, but it's not really got the lead that it had like a couple of days ago. It's certainly not got the 200,000 lead, 220,000 lead or whatever it was. It's got the 11,000 lead. So tomorrow, I mean, I would expect it sort of to drop below Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license, and maybe, yeah, probably by about 20 or 30 below. Can sort of see here that Save Your Tears is sort of climbing a little bit, which I'm happy with. So it could climb into top 10 this week if it climbs fast enough. Songs like Love Story dropped all the way down to 18. That's certainly not good. So I probably would say if you can trend that down to about 25 and then maybe down to 30 for the rest of the week, it's probably looking about maybe just scraping top 10 if it's absolutely lucky. Maybe 11 or 12 at the end. But yeah. Singles also entered today. My Head and My Heart entered for the first time, I believe. Yep, My Head and My Heart entered for the first time, so that should get a little bit of a boost. So yeah, there is a few others, but yeah. If we have a look, and by the way, a little bit of love from Tom Grennan is nowhere near in the top 200 either. If we have a look at Apple Music, sorry, we can see that this is from all of Monday's data. I don't have any data from the days before, unfortunately, but I do know that Call on My Phone has been there since Friday anyway, so it's basically doing the Spotify thing, and then obviously driver's license number 2. Today, Love Story has dropped to 36, so if that has a little bit of an effect, then it does mean that if this has like sort of what people are saying that Apple Music affects more than Spotify, then it might actually drop it a little bit more. But who knows? Who knows? Other things like Your Love in the top 10, as well as Spotify. I think it's in the top 10 as well now. No, it's not. Where is it in the Spotify? It's 38. Wow, I actually thought it was way higher than that. But oh well. Yeah. If we have a look at Quar, but this is basically iTunes, iTunes UK. Basically, this is it's just basically how far ahead is a song from the other song, like the lead, basically. So, for example, you got 0.76. That is basically you got 100% of this whatever. It's hard to explain, but this is basically 76% of the number one sales, basically, in a way. But they sort of, you can see Wellerman as sort of like combining those to make number one, basically, I think. I guess. So yeah, there isn't really much to note here because this doesn't really affect it much. If you saw like a 10 times difference, you would probably say, oh wow, that's actually quite far ahead. But yeah, sort of similar to what happened with Captain Tom Moore and Lads Baby as well last year. We've had none of them this year though. So yeah. Now we're going to move on to personal chart time. We're going to just quickly run through this. We'll look at the point totals at the end as well. This was last week's chart. We can see that Sam Fisher, Demi Lovato, and my chart went straight in at the top last week. Unlike the personal chart, we actually have taste in music in this chart. Tom Grennan also climbed back into the top 3 again. Yeah. Sia and David Guetta climbed into the top 4. Lucy Spraggan entered, but I think that's looking like it's going to drop out this week. Still Don't Know My Name re-entered. That was quite a shock re-entry as well. And then Your Love 9 PM, and then you've got a load of others as well, which is available in Discord server. Oh yeah, the Discord server, there is a link in the description as well to the personal chart Discord. This week's update though is looking quite interesting. There was quite a few entries last week as well. There was quite a few new songs that were out last week. So in my chart this week, there is Love Story is going to go to number 1 for the first time ever. If we have a look at the history of Love Story, 2009, this was last in the chart. This is an on-time chart. Basically, on-time charts are all charts that were recorded basically after, like, years after. And I've just basically gone back and done what I think would have been number 1. They are continuing. 2008 start in March. I will be starting to write 2008s in March, and then they should have a sequence going up, like the all number 1 sequence going up in the summer, I believe. So yeah. Yeah, so you can sort of say it's been at number 2 quite a lot. It's been at number 3 quite a lot as well, but it's never made number 1. But in the update this week, it's sort of trending towards number 1. And we'll have a look in a minute if it's still trending towards that number 1 in the streaming data. We Are Good's entering at number 2 from the Moonlight Edition, what other people say is going to drop to number 3, but you never know because a music video came out today as well, so that might actually impact it a little bit and maybe climb back up to number 2, but who knows. Come May and Sunshine, it's going to enter at number 4. Pink, big artist on the chart, has the most number 1s, but this song, I don't know, it seems to not be taking off as much as the others, like What About Us, or Beautiful Trauma, or Walk Me Home, or Try, or anything like that. Not yet, anyway. But usually Pink songs do enter straight in at the top. A little bit of Love's dropping a little bit, but that seems to be trending today on the streaming data. I'll show you in a sec, a little bit more up. But then My Head and My Heart's also doing the same thing. Save Your Tears going to drop to number 7. And then All of the Things, Ria Ora's in at number 10 with the Crazy Frog sample, Bang Bang. Yeah, you got another arcade entry. And then, yeah, a load of others. So, will Love Story stay at the top though? You'll have to wait until Friday to find out. So yeah, let's have a look at some data then, shall we? We'll have a look and see who's at the top with point totals and stuff. And streaming. So on the streaming chart then, up until tonight at 8 o'clock, we have Love Story still 11 streams ahead. Now, ratings do affect it a little bit, but usually when a stream song is 5 or more ahead, basically, it usually indicates that it's going to be number 1 up until that point, because streams can change later in the week as well. But yeah. Dua Lipa's number 2 with We Are Good, so it kind of like lines up quite well. But Tom Grennan, he see here, is sort of trended up a little bit. Like this was sort of about 4 or 5 yesterday. It was at 10. Same with My Head and My Heart. That was at 3 or 4 yesterday. It's sort of trended up, so maybe an indication that will climb a place compared to the update. What other people say, it's still pretty good though, because like last week we had no songs from the previous week in the streaming chart. And then Still Don't Know My Name's still there as well. We have a look at all number 1s from the year so far. We can see Champagne Problems. This would actually be Taylor Swift's second number 1 of the year as well. It would actually be our 11th number 1 overall, and timed number 1 overall. It would actually be, including untimed, it would be 12, I believe, because I think Teardrops on My Guitar was number 1. Yeah, I don't think You Belong With Me was number 1 either. We know Love Story wasn't. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, that would be our 12 including untimed, but 11 with timed only. Yeah, so, and then we had Kyle Leroy with Without You, and then we had Driver's License for 2 weeks, and then Weekend Save Your Tear for 2 weeks, and then last week we had Sam Fisher, Demi Lovato with What Other People Say. The streaming number 1, so this is a little bit more complicated. Mostly all the streaming number 1s always line up quite well with the actual official number 1s of the personal chart. Dua Lipa, apart from the first month of the year where it was only 10 streams for the streaming number 1. Because New Year was going on, there was a lot going on around New Year and stuff, so yeah, it only had a 20% effect on the personal chart. Yeah, but the next week, 29 streams came up and 65%. Then we had a massive week as well. We had 37 streams, which impacted 75%. 2 times as much as it should, to be honest, usually. And then, yeah, we had the weekend, which was kind of average, 30%, 55 and 40. And then last week we had 18 streams for the streaming number 1, which sort of affected by 40%, other 60% from ratings, just like out of not really out of thin air, but what I thought should be number 1. So yeah, as you saw this week, 22 streams so far. You can probably expect that to trend up to about 30, maybe 35 at a peak. And then you could probably expect that to affect at about 70%. So yeah, streaming definitely going to have a massive effect this week. And finally, if we have a look at the overall point totals for the year, we can see that The Weeknd is still a little bit ahead by around 80-ish points. But let's be honest, that's not going to last very long with Love Story and, yeah, there's lots of new songs coming up in the next few the next few years, the next couple of months. I think James Arthur's releasing a song in a couple of weeks as well, so that should impact quite a lot. If it's anything like Falling in Like the Stars, that will definitely get a long run at the top. So yeah, Save Your Tears and then Without You, which was the record holder for about 4 weeks, and then it sort of disintegrated into Save Your Tears. But you never know, it could go back. And also a little bit of love with that still trending upwards rather than downwards. That could be number one in a couple of weeks as well with this chart. Same with My Head and My Heart there, which still looks quite low to be honest, but it's definitely trending upwards quite fast as well. Friday's sort of going downwards, and yeah, you're never going to see Don't Stop Me Eating in the chart again, so don't expect that to be there anytime soon. Yeah, so yeah, apart from that, I think that's going to do it. I think we'll make this, if we're going to do this a regular thing, this just a little bit of a teaser sort of thing, just a little bit of a trial to see how it goes. But yeah, remember on Saturday we will have Saturday the 20th we will have the like a special video sequence chart. It will be in Discord and the Facebook group. Both are in the description if you want to join. But yeah, that's it. I think. Yeah, I guess that's it. Usually I would say something else, but I'm not going to say it because this is a completely different video. But yeah, bye bye.